All right, Rebecca from the Pet Works. Well, you all have those special stories from work that kind of stick with you for years. And you won't ever forget them, and you kind of tell them to your friends and neighbors. Well, today I have a few stories that I'd like to tell you from the 50 years of the Pet Works. And it's going to be a roller coaster. So I started working at the Pet Works in 1994. Young, kind of naive, wanting to help, super smiley, and I get a phone call from this gentleman. He had a very deep voice, and it did sound like he might have a learning disability, so I totally wanted to help and understand where he's coming from. And so he asked, he goes, "Do guinea pigs hibernate?" And I said, "Well, why do you ask that?" He said, "Well, my guinea pig is in the corner of his cage. He's been there a couple of days. He hasn't moved, and he's really cold." And I said, "Well, can you tell if your guinea pig's breathing?" He said, "No, he's not breathing." And I said, "Well, I don't know exactly how to say this, but you know what? I think maybe your guinea pig passed away. I don't think he's alive." And in this really deep voice, he was just like, "Oh, no." And he just starts wailing and bawling on the phone. It literally was a phone call I will never forget, and I didn't quite know how to handle it. But then there's some people who take a different approach to calling the Pet Works when it's something important. And so I had this gentleman call, and he said, "Hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how poisonous do you think a tarantula bite is?" And I said, "Well, that's kind of not an easy, there's no easy answer to that, because all tarantulas, depends on the type of tarantula it is, but it also depends on the person. Like some people with bee stings, they are more allergic to it than other people." And he said, "Well, my son got bit by his tarantula today. His arm's quite swollen and warm, and he's not doing too good." So I'm just like, you know what? I think I'd probably go ahead and get him to the hospital. I wouldn't really worry about how poisonous, like on a scale of 1 to 10. So, he's a little bit more laid back. So then we had a couple, and this wasn't very long ago. I had a couple come in, and husband and wife, they come up and they wanted to talk to the owner. And I said, "I'm the owner. How can I help you?" And they said, "Well, we're customers down in Astoria, have been for quite a few years, and we're really upset. We've been dealing with Nick." And I was like, "Oh, no," because Nick kind of rubbed people the wrong way sometimes. And you either loved him or you didn't like him. And so I said, "Okay, well, how can I help you?" And they said, "Well, their daughter breeds guinea pigs, and they bring them in for store credit, and had been doing that for quite a while. And their young daughter brought in a litter of guinea pigs to Nick, and he didn't want them, wouldn't take them, and was really rude to our daughter." And I said, "Ugh." I said, there could have been a bunch of different reasons. Maybe we had too many. Could have been a bunch of different things. But I could tell they were really upset. So I said, "Well, you know what?" I said, "What I'll do is I'll get you a $25 gift card, and you can use it in the store for anything that you want. And but I was just going in on Saturday because Nick doesn't work on the weekends, and Crystal's down there, and she'd love to help you. And I hope that could maybe make up for it." And at that time, the dad seemed to kind of like warm up a little bit and seemed to be calming down. And then so we got to chatting a little bit, and then a little bit later I was like, "Well, what'd you do with the baby guinea pigs?" And he looked me dead in the eye. He said, "Well, we ate them." Okay. I mean, what do you say? Yeah. And so The next one was we had a young gal who had a pet rat, and the rat passed away. And so, and at that time, we had Rhonda who took care of all of our animals, our animal technician, and the gal wanted to talk to Rhonda about why a rat died. So she brought the rat in one of those containers that you get deli meat in, and whatever, you know. So she brings it in, and Rhonda's like, there's nothing I can tell that happened to your rat that I can be definitive this is why this died. And so the gal left it, and we put those in the freezer. Well, the gal left, and the next day she came back in, and she goes, you know what, I'm gonna need my container back. And so the last one I'm going to leave you with was, so we have two front doors, two wooden front doors. And on one of our wooden front doors is a little brass mail slot. It's actually kind of cool. Well, this lady brought in, at the time, we used to buy, we used to take in all kinds of, we still do actually, fish, feeder mice, baby guinea pigs, all birds, all kinds of stuff from people in the area. That's just how we've always done things, and we give store credit. Well, at this time, we had a ton of feeder mice. We didn't need any more. And this lady came in, and she had a big batch of little baby mice. And we couldn't take them. We were too full. So she was really angry and left. And then the next day, or that night, she had stopped by the store while we were closed, and one by one stuck those feeder mice in through the mail slot. And so we kind of had a problem with mice for a while in the store, and it took us for a while to get that all cleared up. But you're welcome. Those are some crazy stories from the Petworks.